Welcome back, everybody. Today we're sitting down with Xavier Johnson, the owner of Rise and Run Media. His entire thesis is that LinkedIn shouldn't be a bulletin board. It should be your company's most predictable revenue engine. Xavier, thanks for coming on to Coffee, Chaos, and Cash Flow. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you so much for hopping on. This is my second podcast, so
Let's
I'm excited to get
go.
into the podcast world, man, getting an
It's
opportunity to
awesome.
share my voice. So excited to
Yeah.
be on. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it should be a grand time. All right, well let's head off with a couple quick icebreakers. Xavier, tell me what one movie that always makes you laugh
Oh my goodness.
predictably every time you see it.
I would say next Friday. So like Ice
Ooh,
Cube, Mike Epps. It's an old classic one.
okay. Wow, I
It's
don't
been
think I
some
know
years.
that one.
It's been a while since I've watched it, but every time I see the thumbnail of that movie, I'm like dying laughing. It's just
No
you
way.
got to check it out, man.
Dude, it's pretty rare that somebody drops the name of a film that I'm not at least somewhat aware of. So I will definitely add that to the list. So that's
Yeah,
good.
you have to check it out. It's something that
Next
my
Friday.
family we grew up watching it.
Okay,
So Mike Epps is in it, Ice Cube's in it, so some funny
nice.
personalities. So
For
pretty
sure,
cool one.
yeah. Okay, well, I'll look forward to checking that out. What do you think the worst style choice you've ever made would be?
Oh, man. So we went to like this Western event last year, and I had to dress up in cowboy boots and like this pullover. And my wife dressed me. I wasn't a fan of it.
That's
But she was
great.
like, "Hey, if you're from Lexington, Kentucky, you got to commit to it. We're going to this event." And
That's
I
great.
pulled it up. People complimented me, but myself, I was like, I'm not really feeling it
Ah,
all the way. I like the boots, but like the whole up to down style was like not something
yeah,
I was,
that's hard to.
So
You didn't feel it. Yeah,
yeah, I
it's
didn't feel it
weird.
at all.
We're recently going back through the Office series, and like Jim, like historically doesn't ever dress up for Halloween, right? Like he's like, I'm just not gonna do that. And
Yeah,
I'm the same way. Like my wife is always kind of fussed with me, like not dressing up. It's like I don't do costumes. It's
yeah.
like I'm not there for it. So all right. And then lastly, most adventurous thing you've ever done.
Ooh, that's a good one. I did zip lining.
Let's go.
We did zip lining. I think we were in Holiday World with my wife's family.
Okay.
I used to tell myself I was scared of heights, and I'm still a little, I don't like roller coasters, but that was the thing that my wife was like, I want you to commit to the zip lining. So for me, that was like the biggest thing that was like, it was a big step for me to do. And it actually turned out really fun. So I wouldn't say that I'm afraid or fear of heights now. It's just, I get a little uncomfortable, a little uneasy, but
Sure.
it was pretty
Sure.
cool. It took me a
That's
little bit
great.
to get up there, but I did it.
Well, next step is skydiving, so we'll get you
Oh my
set up for
goodness.
one of the that's next in line. It's great. Okay, so Xavier, I want to get into some stuff here now. People probably know if they've been listening to the show or keeping up with me on LinkedIn that you actually do the LinkedIn for myself, my personal account, and then also for my company LexClean, and have been doing an incredible job on that. So this is a fun conversation for me because I'm going to get into like some of the nitty gritty specifics that I don't necessarily know about. I just kind of show up. You run a lot of the content. It's been amazing. I've been really appreciative that you've been able to handle that for us. So it'll be fun to kind of get to learn a little bit on the back end as well. So let's
Absolutely.
kind of like take a broader view to this. I think that a lot of B2B leaders specifically, this I think has been your approach. They treat LinkedIn kind of like maybe like a digital resume. We mentioned bulletin board earlier, and it's kind of like this post and hope, right? So like throw it up there, let's see what happens. So tell me what you think might be the single biggest mindset shift that a founder would need to make to turn their profile from just a posting platform into a predictable growth engine.
Yeah, I think one is we have to look at it from just a posting platform to now like a thought leadership driven machine for us as a B2B professional. LinkedIn is kind of flipped upside down compared to Instagram and these other platforms where, who you're following on these other platforms, you're actually not reaching those people. You're actually reaching the non-followers if you look at those analytics on Instagram and Facebook. But on LinkedIn, you're actually reaching the people that you're connected to. So if you're connecting with the right people with your ideal client profile and you're creating content and posting, it allows you to be able to be very strategic on the way that you show up and present yourself as a thought leader on this platform and let them know like, hey, I'm here to solve the solutions to your problems. And it's a really, really cool platform to be able to make sure that it's going to back you and promote that so that you become that industry expert that you're looking to be coming.
Yeah. So, coming back to like, if you got a CEO, I think I've heard even people say this. I know I should be doing more on LinkedIn, but my time is better spent, actually day to day or running high level vision stuff. So, how would you personally quantify like return on investment for a social presence when the ultimate goal isn't just likes or reshares, that type of thing, but actually qualified inbound leads? And how would you describe that ROI to somebody at the top of the company who is maybe just not seeing it yet?
Yeah, so I think definitely conversations is a big pillar that we want to pull is how many people can we actually get to start having conversations with not only LinkedIn but also in person. And with the LinkedIn platform specifically, you can be really strategic to make sure that we're connecting with the right people. So even if they don't like, share, or engage with your content itself, it is getting them to have a conversation in their mind of like, oh wow, this guy actually he's a service to me. He helps me in my kind of business, my kind of company. So they're having these conversations in their head, but then also if you reach out and have an approach on how you handle those conversations, it can then lead to actual in-person conversations. So for me, that's the whole idea. I understand as a B2B professional, conversations build trust. And if you want that trust, you need to have conversations. So it's like, how can we use this platform to create more conversations in our ideal client profile's mind, but also in person as well?
Yeah, that's good. So, getting more into the strategy and kind of what that looks like for what you guys are doing at Rise and Run, where do you think, I guess, B2B creators in general go wrong when they're trying to balance, I guess, professional authority with something that is actually worth stopping to check out or read? Because I think that a lot of content on LinkedIn is good. A lot of it's not very engaging. It can be kind of flat, kind of boring. Talk to us a little bit about that. Like, what is your mindset and strategy going into making content that is actually visually engaging and something that people will want to take a look at rather than just moving along and passing it up as like another paragraph to check out somewhere
Yeah,
else.
for sure. So I think with LinkedIn, a lot of the people that on there is majority decision makers, right? So these are people that are actually buying solutions to their problems or sharing referrals and et cetera, connecting people with other people in their network. So when you're creating on this platform, it allows you to be able to, one, be able to speak directly to the problems that you solve in a very authentic
Mhm.
and engaging way. Similar to like what we do on your account, it's very straightforward. It's letting them know exactly what we do, but it's also very educational in the format of like walking through the processes on how you actually get them to where they want to go. And with this platform, again, people resonate with that kind of stuff compared to these other platforms where you're using these trending audios and trending noises and doing all these different things that maybe a lot of people replicating. But on LinkedIn, it allows you to be very straightforward, and just talk to the camera on exactly what you do. That it just works on the platform. That's what LinkedIn's algorithm is trying to prioritize is those video contents that we're putting out there. So if you can show up very strategically with communicating your message and your value proposition, it allows you to be able to engage. So, I mean, even on your account, some metrics that we don't talk about all the time, but that watch time, like some of your videos are
Mhm.
getting, couple hours of people watching your videos over the time of it being out, and that's
Yeah,
crazy when they're only a minute to maybe two
right.
minutes max, but like hours of that has been consumed. So it's like these people are
That's
engaging,
crazy.
they are
Yeah,
watching, so it's a pretty cool metric that not a lot of other platforms outside of YouTube shows you watch time. So
yeah,
it's a
that's
pretty cool
cool.
thing.
And it's interesting you say that because I wasn't aware of that particular metric for us, but I could have like given my own experience for this question in that you kind of give me like some things to talk about and questions ahead of time. It's like, hey, we're going to go over these things when we roll the video to put on the account, and I've always been really interested in that because I'll read the question and I'll think, oh, yeah, this is something I think about all the time in my business. And this is something anybody else I've talked to in the industry, these are all the same things that people are wondering. They're always like, hey, what about X, Y, Z? And then so for me to just go in and talk about it right away, if I were the decision maker on the other end of that conversation, I would stop and be like, oh yeah, this is what I'm always wanting to know, like right here. So you do a very good job at creating discussion points around things that are extremely relevant. I don't know if I never actually asked you this. I don't know if you had like a good lead background with commercial cleaning before we met, but I'm always kind of amazed. I'll like read the questions, like, okay, like this is good. Like if somebody asked me this, I would expect that they knew something about the industry, and this was just pulling this out of their hat somewhere. Do you think the goal of LinkedIn strategy today is well, maybe it could be both, I guess. Is it to get people to come to you, or is it to help warm them up so that you're like your outbound sales, for instance, they don't sound like a complete cold stranger? There's actually some recognition of the company or the goal or whatever. Is it a mix of both? Like, what are you trying to prioritize there with your efforts?
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of both. There's inbound efforts and there's also outbound. And we kind of want to mixture it together and we call this like all bound essentially, where you are getting people into the pool and getting them to understand exactly who you are and what you do. But we also want to nurture those people that have visited your profile, have engaged with your content, or have engaged with you via DM as well to be able to then pull those efforts. Because again, the whole idea around what we're doing is to generate conversations in the end user's mind, but also in person, is the most ideal situation. So the idea is like, hey, we can bring more people into this funnel, but let's nurture these people through, even if they don't become a client right now, or if they're not liking or they're not engaging, most likely whenever that problem arises to them, the most thing they're going to remember is someone speaking to that specific problem and their solution to that problem. And that'll always tie back to that thought leader or that B2B professional that's sharing that expertise. So that's
Sure.
the idea of what we want to do. So continue to funnel them in, but also nurture the people that are in there and allowing them to be very for you to be very easy to access whenever they do have questions pop up, or if they do consider moving forward with a service or solution to their problem, you're very accessible to get in contact with because they've seen there's already been conversations or they've already connected with you on LinkedIn and all that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads into a thought as well. Something that I've appreciated is when you first talked to me about doing LinkedIn stuff. Now you offer managing marketing spend and ad spend and all that, but that isn't the only thing that you're initially focused on. And this was important to me because I think that LinkedIn can be like a lot of other marketing opportunities where it's just like, here, let's throw 10K a month at ads somewhere and just, like mud on the wall, see what
Yeah.
converts. And I think your approach to LinkedIn feels to me much more holistic and I guess grounded in that you're not just interested of, hey, I can manage an ad campaign and throw a bunch of money at this and see what happens. You talk a little bit kind of like the front end because I think that if you want to spend a bunch of money on LinkedIn and you've had no activity on that account in 3 or 4 months, it almost seems somewhat counterintuitive, right? Because you kind of like, so you
Right.
have to nurture what you've got. You have to continue to develop that ICP and bring those people in so that that algorithm is kind of focusing around what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And yeah, like how do you go about thinking about that? Because I obviously, spending money in ad revenue is never like a terribly a bad thing.
Right.
But why is it important specifically with LinkedIn to be handling both of those pieces at the same time
Yeah.
as you start out?
For sure. I think the best is when you can tie in organic and paid efforts together, because if you really build organic and you're getting a lot of good tons of metrics and you're getting conversations and you're getting leads, if you replicate that in the ad space, it's going to do the exact same thing. The ads are obviously a little bit more targeted. Essentially we can reach out to facility managers, operations directors, warehouse managers, and et cetera, and have the ads target just those specific people or even specific companies. And we just nurture them the same way that we do in the conversations in the DM. We
Mm,
have top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel ads. Top of funnel is obviously code, right? These people don't know who you are. First time they see them, once they see that single image ad or that ad, we then retarget them in the middle of the funnel with website visits campaigns or thought leadership ads. And then from there, we retarget those people at the bottom of funnel of like book a demo, learn more,
yep.
visit our website, etc., to be able to get them to actually fill in some information on your website to become a more captured lead. But it's essentially the same thing that we do on the organic, it's just more amplified. So like for someone like
Hmm.
yourself, it's just going to amplify the efforts that we're already doing on the organic side. So when you have a really good organic channel going and you're showing up, the ads are just going to benefit that, because if they see the ad and they don't click on it, they don't like it, they're going to start to
Right.
see your content anyway. And when they see
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
content and they see what you're posting, they see you show up. Oh, this guy's a thought leader. He's an industry expert. He knows this like the back of his hand. I can trust this guy. So then, whenever the ads continue to show up, it just further lets them know like, hey, he's committed to solving the problem that I have. Let me learn
Yeah.
more about this. So it works really well. We've had clients across multiple different industries that are benefiting from both ends of it. Some of them are just organic. We have some clients that do organic and paid, and we have some clients that are just doing paid and it's still benefiting them as well. It's all about how you want to handle it, what budgets you have. But the real benefit is if you have data that you can use regarding your target market, but also if you're getting healthy website traffic or you're getting really good traffic from Google or these other traffic sources, then we can just retarget all those people with LinkedIn as well to continue to nurture those people through the funnel.
Good. That's good. I've heard you talk at some point about how a lot of times people can chase, like, just strictly chase vanity metrics, right? In the end, and kind of why that's not sufficient. Is there, outside of just the vanity, obvious likes, shares, comments, that's, is there a particular metric, two or three, that you would kind of immediately know if you're looking at this on your dashboard that, oh, this campaign is going to be profitable? Like, what is a set of metrics that you would really prioritize above just strictly the vanity ones that have
Yeah.
been predictable, I guess, in your
Are you
case?
are you talking about on the organic or on the paid side?
Both. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, say
So
it
on
for
the
both of them.
so on the organic side, obviously, for me, reach and impressions do play a role. Is this content actually reaching the right people? And then another metric that LinkedIn Organic talks about is members reached. So like how many people that are already connected with you did this content reach as well? That's extremely huge and that's extremely powerful metric to know. Is this content actually resonating with the people that we're sharing, getting this content in front of? Because even on your account, you may see not everyone that is reached will like, comment, share, or whatever, right? But if they are still seeing the content, that's really, really good because that's going to continue to make sure that they see it over time, every time they open up their
Right.
LinkedIn account and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So those are like the main metrics that I would really say outside of the vanity that makes me be able to paint this bigger picture of like, okay, this is actually moving in the direction that we want to, so that reach impressions and then members reached. And then on the paid side of things, really, click-through rates, cost per conversions, clicks to the landing page, all those kind of things
Mhm.
is the very, very value to know. Like, not only is this audience resonating with this creative, this message in the ad, but are they actually taking action when they see this? What's the
Yeah.
time gap from them actually visiting the website? All that good information because we can always retarget them. If they don't, if they visit the website for the first time but they don't buy, it's not necessarily a bad thing because we can just retarget them with other ads to continue to nurture them through that process. So on the ad side, that's those are the things that we're looking at to make sure it's moving in the right direction.
That's good. Now, this is something I've kind of wondered in the back of my mind. This hasn't really related to me specifically, but I'm curious if maybe other industries, specifically if you've worked with like consultants or whatnot, is there ever pushback about kind of provide what you're focused on is thought leadership, right? And if the people can actually be seen as an expertise in their given field. Do you ever get the pushback from some people that they're just going to be giving away, intellectual property for free? Do you ever get that concern from people? And how would you balance, hey, we need to establish you as an expertise, but also compel people to retain your services? And what does that look
Yeah.
like?
No, for sure. That's good. So honestly, here recently, I have not, or just overall, I have not got any pushback on like, hey, me not wanting to share things. I think a lot of the people that come to me, they see my offers and they see what we're promoting and they're like, I need to do that and I know I need to do it. And either they don't have the time or they do have the time, they just don't have the strategy to back what they're trying to do. But a lot of these founders and a lot of these consultants and a lot of these business owners and professionals that we work with know they need to be on the platform. They know they need to share their voice. So they're all about like, hey, well, if you can take what I know and execute it in a way that's strategic to
Mhm.
the people we're trying to reach out to, I'm all for that. Let's give the value away. You may hear this in your space, but just in marketing in general, you want to give away as much value as free so that people can see what your free value looks like so that when they come into a paid
Yeah.
experience, they want to pay you because they're like, oh, wow, if you're willing to give all this away, for free, I can only imagine what it's like to pay you. So like we have clients that, they're breaking down frameworks, what their process on how they handle certain things and all that good stuff that invites the customer or the client into like, oh my gosh, like I've learned this much on a post. I can only imagine if I sign up for, a coaching hour and et cetera. And we do that for ourselves at Roswell Media as well. I give everything away. I walk through the frameworks, I talk about it, I lay it out in the posts that we post out there, the videos that we get out of there. And yeah, it becomes very valuable so that when I meet with someone, they're like, hey, I'm ready to move forward. What does this look like? I know this can work for me. And it's something that I always recommend. If I get pushback on it, I'm like, hey, I think that's something you should reconsider because people want to know. People want to know, like, and
Yeah.
trust you. And in order for them to know, like, and trust you, they want to see how much value are you willing to give away and how are you able to package that value in a way that just resonates exactly where they are.
That's good. I love that. I hadn't thought of it in those terms specifically, but I think that's spot on. For me, sales in general, and this is any portion of sales, from like your car dealership to your supplier relationships to a loaf of bread that's on the grocery. Like, I don't care what it is. To me, sales always has come down to value. And what that means is that there are customers that you cannot provide value to. Like, they exist out there. And I don't know if that's just a new sales thing. I'm sure there's probably an official study on this out there somewhere, that, so I'm probably quoting something that I don't know about. But like, I feel if you look back in history, what people imagined sales to be, it was a lot of very manipulative, like, cringy, like, oh yeah, you got to, like, you had to sell to everybody all the time, no matter what. The
Yep.
only way it was successful was if you got a signature on the dotted line. And I don't know, like, when I got started in the entrepreneurial space, I quickly realized there are a lot of customers that I won't be able to service well. And if I look at that as a net loss, then that means my entire that means I actually don't have a specified ideal client, because everybody's supposed to be ideal all of a sudden. If I lose them, like, I missed up somewhere. And so I'm pretty open with people. I mean, even today I was corresponding with a commercial client, and I tried to tell them, because they were like, it's a very interesting situation. They were kind of haggling on some funny stuff on price. And I just wrote in the email to this procurement officer. I was like, hey, we're just not a good fit for some clients. And it looks like in this case, we're probably not a fit. And like, that's totally fine. Like, I totally understand, but I don't think we can service you in the way you're looking for, because of some of these things. Like, I have no problem telling people that. They wrote back and we're still kind of pushing the issue a little bit. I was like, I don't know what to tell you. And you're like,
Yeah.
I can't
Yep.
help you. I can't help you. So it is funny, but
Absolutely.
I think you're right that what you give away for free indicates something about, one, your security in your offering as a whole, right? Which is, say, hey, we do these things really well. We don't have to do everything well, but we are experts at what we're talking about. And if you need an expert here, we're your person. If you don't need an expert and you need, cheap as something, whatever, somewhere else, like, that's fine.
Yeah.
But we're not here to do that. Like, we're here to be
Absolutely.
experts. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that approach. I think that's why we get along
Yeah,
as well as we
absolutely,
do.
man. Yeah, sales
Yeah.
is a funny thing. I've done sales throughout my career, and it for me, it's all came down to that trust, and that trust comes from that actual, like, are you adding value or are you not? And then we throw that word value away, but essentially it's just like, are you have a problem solving heart and mind when you're approaching this, the person that you're trying to sell to? Do they feel like you're actually trying to solve a problem for them, or is this like you trying to deliver this thing to them, to get paid for it?
Right.
And if you can
Right.
do that in a very authentic and real way, I think it translates really well. Like our whole, one of our values for our company is relationships first. We want to prioritize the relationship before we go into a business relationship, because we know the importance of that. And not no one's perfect at business, but if there's a relationship that's established in some way, it allows you to be able to build on top of that, And it's like, I remember I had experiences that I learned so much in sales. I was doing cold calling for another company, an agency that I worked for in the past, and I called this guy and I gave him my whole, spiel on, what we're doing, and he was like, if I needed marketing, I would have just called you. And it just shocked me. I'm like, I didn't even know what to say. I was like, but you're so right. If you needed this, he would have called me, right? And it was
Yeah.
like, and I learned from that.
Oh,
So I was like, oh
it's
wow.
great.
So I got to flip the script on how we go
Yeah.
about advertising and marketing and all that kind of stuff at that specific role that I was at. But it made so much sense of like, if there was a relationship established with this guy,
Mm,
yeah, if he did need help with marketing, he would have just reached
mm.
out. And you can do that through LinkedIn. And LinkedIn allows you to be able to build that trust and create that credibility so that even if you never had a conversation with them in person, they can look at your profile, because that's what people's going to do anyway when they're looking for their solutions to be solved. And they see that, hey, you're speaking directly to the thing that not a lot of people speaking to. So you're starting to create these conversations in their mind that eventually, whenever you do reach out or if they do reach out, those conversations usually land so much more better, that which leads to actual deals closed eventually down the line.
Yeah, that's great. That's great stuff. This might be a silly question. This is just kind
Now
of
you're good.
my curiosity here, but
Yeah.
do you see a difference in the, what's the word I'm looking for, predictability or efficacy of text versus video content and in LinkedIn? And has that kind of become a shift for LinkedIn? Would you consider text content to be relatively dead, or is it just kind of a
Yeah.
shifting thing? How does that play out?
Yeah, no, they definitely been the algorithm's definitely been prioritizing video content for sure. But if you look on your feed on your phone and you're scrolling, a video takes more of the screen than
Yeah,
just a
that's
text
true.
post. A text
That's
post you
true.
gotta click more and then drop it
Yeah,
down. But a video is gonna take up more of the screen, so that's why usually videos get a little bit more engagement. They
makes
work
sense.
really good hand in hand. If you can split it between videos, carousels, I mean even text posts, that's great. That's what we kind of tell our clients that we'll try to do a mixture of both, but it really leans heavily on that video content. People buy for people anyway. So I'm glad that LinkedIn is starting to prioritize those video contents, and they're literally showing that metric that is really, really important, which is that watch time and members reached that you can see
Yeah,
within the video content that you may not be able to get exactly with a text post. So it's
yeah,
all about the
yeah.
way that you format it.
Sure.
We try to balance it really, really well based on what we're seeing, what's resonating, and all that good stuff. But I wouldn't say that get rid of text posts entirely, but just maybe get it in there a couple times to test, with the post that you're putting out there.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right. Well, so Xavier, wrapping up here, this is kind of like our takeaway.
Yeah.
If you could, you know, say a spell, wave a magic wand, and it would change one thing about how B2B companies are approaching LinkedIn, 2026, what would that be?
I would say get on the platform, start posting, not expect to be perfect. Reach out to your ideal client profile and start building conversations. The way people buy now is way different than they used to back in the day. And you can transition your whole business and actually use LinkedIn to be the number one growth channel for your business if you prioritize it. So you just got to show up, and that's half of the battle right there.
Good stuff. That's good stuff. Well, Xavier, tell people how to best get connected with you with Rise and Run. What's the best avenue for that? And we'll also put it here in the show notes as well.
Yeah, you can give me an email at xavier@rosrunmedia.com, or even give me a phone call at 859-489-4486. I'm all about sitting down having coffee. I'm all about having conversations. So feel free to reach out anytime. And I'd love to sit down, talk to you exactly how LinkedIn can be a huge benefit for you and your business. And again, I will give it all away. So you can take what I'm telling you
Yeah.
for keepsake and just do it yourself, or if you want to hire me and my team to be able to come in and execute this like we've done for Aram and Lex Clean, we would love to do that as well. So yes, that's the information, and please, get in contact. I'll love to chat.
Awesome. Well, like I said, it's been great getting to know you over this last year here. We've certainly appreciated getting to use you guys for our company, and I would recommend you 10 out of 10 anybody. So yeah, if you're a professional who is either growing a company or you have an established company and you need to really take your LinkedIn presence to the next level, I definitely recommend that you reach out to Xavier. We will, like I said, link all this in the show notes. And man, thanks for coming on the show and educating everybody today. It has been great having you on.
Absolutely, thank you, man. I'll see you at your courts in the soon.
All right. Cheers,
All right,
buddy.
see you, man.
See ya.